want that officer to get in the ring and to check this man, because this referee can't find what he's got hidden on him. So, officer, please. Please, officer. Please. You might need to pull the gloves out. He's got it hid deep.
Might need to pull the gloves out?
Is he going to give a cavity search?
Well, Trevor Lee is insisting that one of Gibsonville's finest frisk Killbilly Aric Andrews before this singles bout gets started.
No, he's not at the airport. What is all this?
Nothing in the knee pads. And the officer is going to let Aric Andrews pass inspection here. It's going to be one-on-one, Trevor Lee against Killbilly Aric Andrews.
That was a smart move, though. There's no telling what Aric Andrews was hiding.
Bell sounds. We are off and running.
I still don't trust you.
Trevor Lee still does not trust Killbilly Aric Andrews.
Well, I don't blame him. Of course, Trevor Lee, not exactly the height of trustworthiness himself.
Not at all.
All joking aside, this should be a great match. As you said, Aric Andrews is a very underrated wrestler, and Trevor Lee, of course, one of the best that we have.
I've said it before. I said it back at the CWF Rumble, which you can purchase at ondemand.cwf247.com. I've said it on the Rumble. I've said it numerous times. Aric Andrews might be the most underrated wrestler on the CWF Mid-Atlantic roster. And, of course, Trevor Lee's credentials cannot be denied. Winner of the 2013 Johnny Weaver Memorial Cup Tournament, a perennial challenger to Mid-Atlantic champion Aric Royal now that he's got that guaranteed title shot in his back pocket. Also a former Rising Generation League champion and a former television champion. So Trevor Lee just recently turned 20 here a couple weeks ago. At 20 years old, Cecil, this guy's already held some major championships and is a perennial contender for the big belt, Aric Royal's Mid-Atlantic Championship at age 20.
He's got that #1 contender status in his back pocket, and not many people can say that at that age. Heck, I could barely keep a job when I was 20.
I can barely keep a job now.
I know, at 30.
Trevor Lee taking his time here. We talked in the Rising Generation League match about Smith Garrett not rushing to make a mistake. You can guarantee that Trevor Lee, who is wise beyond his years as a pro, will absolutely not rush into anything and will absolutely not be looking to make a mistake.
Wait, that's an understatement. You recall in the Weaver Cup Finals, it took him 15 minutes to make contact with Lee Valiant in that match.
Trevor Lee wants him off the arm. Referee Red Jones breaks it.
Trevor Lee being very, very deliberate here. He's definitely stretched a lot in this match.
Aric Andrews doing the right thing here. This kind of slower, more methodical strategy of Trevor Lee's. He tries to sucker you in to rushing in maybe with your head down or maybe rushing in too soon and catching you possibly with that big knee. Aric Andrews not letting them have that, not rushing in. He's being methodical right back.
Absolutely, and that's his style. I mean, Aric Andrews, yeah, he'd love to punch you in the face, but don't forget the guy can wrestle.
He can wrestle, and not only that, but here at the Gibsonville Fall Festival, it's a virtual battle of the knee strikes. Trevor Lee has that kill shot, that leaping knee that has knocked out everybody for over a year now. Aric Andrews really prefers that running knee trembler in the style of William Regal. So we could see a battle of knee strikes before this thing is over, and it could be a situation, Cecil, where the first man to hit his big KO strike could leave with the victory.
I mean, I think that's a very safe assumption. I've never seen anybody get out of either one, a pin attempt after either one of those knee strikes. So it's very interesting. I think both guys are very well aware of that in the back of their head. And Trevor in the ropes again. Every time Aric Andrews gets an advantage, Trevor goes right back to the ropes.
Staying on the head, Trevor Lee goes to the hair.
And Red Jones is going to break that in a hurry.
Of course, Trevor Lee and Chet Sterling competed just 7 days ago in what many are calling 2013's match of the year against the Kamakazi Kid and Lee Valiant. You can check that out. Cover here from Andrews, only got him down for one. You can check that and the rest of the complete card from the 13th annual CWF Rumble out at ondemand.cwf247.com.
If you didn't see it live, I very much urge everyone to check out that replay. It's what everybody's talking about this week.
As you watch it, feel free to tweet us your response, your thoughts, your ideas, and your opinions on the card using hashtag CWF Rumble. Ooh, rough landing for Trevor Lee.
Man, that is not how you want to spend your Saturday morning, that's for sure.
I don't want to spend any amount of time like that if possible.
Nice.
Oh, you hear Trevor Lee crying out for mercy from Killbilly Aric Andrews. Andrews is giving him none as he's just working on that arm.
Yeah, he's just cranking on that shoulder and that arm, and a right hand by Trevor Lee breaks that right away.
Aric Andrews slips to the floor as Trevor Lee gloats to the 1,000+ fans that have flooded Main Street, Gibsonville, and it looks like Seabear, we might be taking it to the streets here at the Fall Festival.
A literal street fight.
In a street fight, I would favor Aric Andrews. Not to say that this kid Trevor Lee isn't tough, but I'm not necessarily sure if he's redneck tough like Aric Andrews is.
No, he's Virginia Mountain tough, and that's a whole different thing altogether. And they were just stepping over children and bystanders and everything.
Trevor Lee not making any friends out here in downtown Gibsonville at the Fall Festival, and yeah, they're going right into the vendor booths. They're going, and referee Red Jones is following them.
Red Jones is just looking for a phone cake.
They're slugging it out in downtown Gibsonville. Trevor Lee might be regretting this decision. Like I said, he's a tough kid, but I don't necessarily know that he's mountain tough.
Well, right now we're going to find out if he's Gibsonville Main Street tough.
And they're going all the way down Main Street in Gibsonville, past our trainees with live wrestling signs, past the karaoke booth that's been driving us all crazy all morning.
Is there any barbecue down there?
We've got fried Oreos and Chick-fil-A down on the other end with the bouncy castles.
Jeez Louise, why didn't I see that?
Killbilly Aric Andrews and Trevor Lee, another inverted atomic drop.
You got to figure the people who didn't attend the wrestling event, and shame on them, have got to be wondering what the hell's going on right now.
They're getting a glimpse of what CWF Mid-Atlantic can offer, as these two guys have pretty much traveled 2/3 of the way down Main Street in Gibsonville. It's getting harder and harder to see exactly where they are and what they're doing.
They're going to end up in Graham by the time they're done.
They may end up in Virginia by the time they're done.
Maybe they're looking for Grant's house. Who knows?
Oh, Lord.
And where are they at the concert now?
They're back at the band. Trevor Lee just got his head rammed right into the bleachers. They've pretty much gone all the way down Main Street.
Have we gone mobile with this camera? Is it still plugged in?
No, we've still got a feed, so we can still see what's going on.
Man alive, are they still in Alamance County?
That took from Southpaw. And another one. Referee Red Jones is not enforcing a single rule.
Because he's hoping they get to the beer booth.
Side headlock. Is Aric Andrews going to drag Trevor Lee all the way down Main Street?
Side headlock's hard to get out of, man. You know what? Maybe they're going to Pied Piper this thing, and everybody's going to follow him back to the ring.
He's cranking on that side headlock. Is Aric Andrews. As 1,000+ Gibsonville, North Carolina citizens look on here at the Fall Festival. Oh boy. Irish whip. He Irish whips Trevor Lee, and Trevor Lee is still going.
That's a hell of an Irish whip.
There's no rope there. I don't think Aric Andrews realized there was no rope to bring him back.
Well, what fans don't realize is that you can't stop once you're Irish whip. That momentum just goes and goes and goes. It's called centripetal force.
Is that what it's called?
That is.
Aric Andrews is in no hurry to catch Trevor Lee.
Well, Trevor Lee's fast, and he whipped him really hard.
He may end up in South Carolina before he stops.
I don't know, I'm thinking it might be, he might pull like a Superman and like make time go backwards if he goes fast enough.
They're headed back this way towards the ring as the theme song from Fame plays at the karaoke booth next booth. Oh, gorgeous drop kick from Trevor Lee. My gosh, he just suckered Aric Andrews back into the ring and cleaned his clock with that drop kick.
I'm surprised he's not blown up from running 8 miles across the Fall Festival.
Choking him with the bottom of his boot.
And Aric Andrews is probably rethinking that Irish whip now.
That's a good point. Cardiovascularly, I would probably give the edge to Trevor Lee, even though I'm a big Aric Andrews supporter. Trevor Lee lives in the gym, lives in the wrestling ring. I don't know of anyone that spends more time during the week in a wrestling ring than Trevor Lee does.
No one I know. I mean, the only person that comes close maybe is Aric Royal.
Very active in the training program here at CWF Mid-Atlantic. Of course, if you live in the Mid-Atlantic region and you have ever dreamed of becoming a pro wrestler, you can visit CWF247.com, click under the link that has our training information, all the information about the Mid-Atlantic Dojo, the premier wrestling training facility in the Carolinas. And yeah, Trevor Lee and Aric Royal, like you said, two guys that are in the ring just about every day.
And they're two of the trainers at the dojo, as it turns out. We got people relocating from Canada to train with us, Brad.
Working on the head here. No, Aric Andrews trying to fight up and fight out of it.
He's still got a handful of hair.
I think we may have signed up a new trainee this morning at the Fall Festival, as a matter of fact. Someone who spoke to me before we went live.
Really? Did we meet him at the karaoke booth?
No, thankfully.
Good, because I don't want to put any of those people on the mic.
Boy, the theme song from Fame is a lot longer than I thought it was. It's still going.
Too bad we don't have Rudy Lewis anymore. He probably knows all the words to that.
Yeah. All the weight from Trevor Lee standing between the shoulder blades of Killbilly Aric Andrews.
And that little skirmish out on the streets did him no favors, as it turns out. We're going to look back on that as probably the turning point of this match.
If Trevor Lee leaves with the victory, he definitely will have successfully turned the tide here. But you're right, thus far, Aric Andrews is in bad shape. He has not recovered from that trip downtown.
Literally a trip downtown. Hey, was he going to hit Red Jones?
That'll disqualify Trevor Lee and possibly cause Red Jones to lose a few more teeth. Another right hook just sends Aric Andrews down to the canvas.
You got to have a few to lose a few.
Trevor Lee staying on top of this man, and this is where Trevor Lee lives. When he's got the advantage, when he can manipulate the advantage, when he can stretch the timeout and just grind his opponent down, this is where Trevor Lee lives.
Absolutely. He can wrestle at fast pace. We've seen him do it, but he much prefers this methodical, grinding pace. If nothing else, just to get in his opponent's head. Everyone wants to rush in and punch the guy in the face, but he slows it down and just frustrates the hell out of you.
Aric Andrews back to the floor, or the concrete, I should say, as Trevor Lee continues to pose.
He probably would be just as well taking a count out here. It's not going to take any skin off of his teeth. Trevor Lee making friends out here, as always.
Telling somebody to test him. God forbid Trevor Lee fight a fan. Aric Andrews firing back here. Trevor Lee is on the ropes for the first time in this contest, really.
And that's one weakness in Trevor Lee's game plan every night, is that he cares too much about what the fans are doing. He wants to jaw all the time. Big back body drop.
That's a great point. You know, there are some guys that are content to kind of work in anonymity. They just want to perfect their craft. They're not necessarily about the credit. Trevor Lee loves the credit, but he does not love that side Russian leg sweep that he just took right in center ring. If Andrews could have made the cover there, I think that might have been it.
Yeah, he's been pinning people with that here recently. He's got one of the better side Russian leg sweeps you'll see.
But yeah, Trevor Lee loves his name in lights, loves the attention, loves top billing, loves the credit. And he will get the credit if he can put down Aric Andrews here before this great turnout at Gibsonville Fall Festival. Knee strike, no! Did not get anything out of it. Aric Andrews hooks him, small package, and he beat him with it. Aric Andrews dodges the knee strike and puts Trevor Lee away.